going on, guys? Gary here with RAS Group, back with another video. As I'm sure you guys can tell, I haven't really moved too far since you just watched the last video. That's because I'm going to start filming more videos at one time as opposed to trying to actually film one a week. Try to get caught up a little bit, because I think the last YouTube video before last week's video, by the time you see that one, would have been about 3 weeks or so. Not really acceptable, trying to do a little bit better with that, but hey, is what it is. Now we're going to talk about something I get a lot of questions about, and it is going to be the Blade Tech mount system for holsters versus the Safariland QLS. Let's get into it. Okay, friends, so let's start with the old and busted. I'm just kidding. QLS is still fine depending on how you're using it. We're going to start with the QLS. All right, so this is one of my old belts that is still using a QLS system. Company is not in business anymore for the holsters, the mag pouches, or the belt itself, so we're not going to really talk about it. What we are going to talk about is the QLS system. So, what the QLS system is made by Safariland, and it's essentially a buckle fork system. You put the male end onto your holster with the obviously appropriate hole pattern, and then the belt system looks like this, and this is your receiver, right? The fork slides down into here, and you essentially have a quick detach holster option so that if you want to change holsters, change guns, you have the ability to do so. Got really popular. A lot of people are a big fan of it. And so was I for a very long time. And I'm not even saying that I hate it or that it's a bad system, but I will say compared to a newer option on the market, it does have its limitations. So, very simple to use. You put this on this, you put this on your holster hanger, you line up the forks, and you drop her in. Pretty cool, right? Now, the downside, and the common thing talked about with the Safariland QLS, is that it is a weak point in the holster system. Anytime you start stacking layers of anything, you traditionally are going to add weak points to your system, right? You start adding things. This is why direct mounted optics are typically considered to be more sturdy and durable than plate mounted optics. I don't know how valid that argument is anymore with some of the awesome plates on the market, but that's traditionally been the argument, right? Your gear is no different. So the issue is that when you put a torquing pressure on this, like if I were to grab here and just start peeling, and I do it with enough force and pressure, you can get either the forks to slip out of the receiver, or you can snap them entirely. They are plastic. So from a defensive context or from a duty context, probably not the best option. Now, again, if you're training on the range and you're constantly swapping guns, still valid. Here's my issue besides that with the QLS system is once you drop it in, once you set the angle of your receiver plate on your holster hanger, that's all the adjustment you get. That's all the angle you're going to get, unless you buy an additional $50 plate, and I can't remember who makes it. I want to say maybe Black Box Customs, something like that. If you're using a QLS and you want to be able to cant the holster a little bit better, I think that's who they are. But that you're kind of stuck with what you get. As you can see, I have a very neutral draw to this holster, but that's where it's stuck at. I can't adjust it once it's on there until I take off the holster, take off the receiver plate, adjust the receiver plate on the hanger, and then that is going to give me my cant, right? I don't know how good I feel about that. It doesn't really seem like I get a lot of adjustability out of it, and I have to buy an additional part from another manufacturer to make it happen if I want to make it happen. Not really ideal, right? So that's the QLS system. Great for what it does, but it does have some downsides. Now let's talk about the Blade Tech mount system. All right, guys, so we talked about the QLS system. Now I want to talk about the Blade Tech mount system. This is my go-to gun belt. I use this as kind of a do-all catch-all. I've used it in competition. I use it to teach with. I use it to go out and train on my own time. Kind of my overall, just my gun belt, right? I have switched from the QLS system on this gun belt to the Blade Tech mount system. All of my other primary gun belts have switched to the Blade Tech mount system, and I'm going to show you why. So, as you can see here, holsters on the holster hanger, right? The cool part about this is, let me see here, boom. Sorry guys, my hands are a little cold, so There we go. So, Bladetech tech mount system. As you can see, it looks a little bit different, right? Primarily the shape. We're looking at more of a disc shape, which it literally is a disc as far as the male end that attaches to the holster. And you can see out of the gate, at least in my opinion, from an engineering standpoint, I'm not an engineer, but this is hypothetical off the dome. I think this is a much more sturdy design based on, I have a 270-degree interface with the male portion as opposed to just the two forks that slide in on either side of the QLS. Out of the gate, seems like it could be a better deal, right? So the disc is pretty low profile in comparison to the size of a Safariland, smaller than a QLS. I don't know if that really matters, but it's an observation. And all you do is you line it up and you're going to drop it in. Now, so far we're on par with the QLS, right? The price point, I think, without the adapter plate, I think that the QLS is what, maybe 30, 40 bucks. This comes in at about 45 for the full kit. Now here's the cool part. If you depress this tab, the same one you use to release it when it's unlocked, yes, it does have a lock on it, other benefit. I depress this tab and I can start canting the holster in any number of configurations that I want. I'm not limited to one position. I can literally set the angle, set the cant however I feel appropriate. Now sometimes it's a little sticky, my hands are cold, so I'm not doing a great job with this. And you can change it little by little by little by little, and if you look at the disc, you will see there's these little ridges, right? These little ridges and these little slots here. That corresponds to all the little different positions you can go. Bing, 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 bing. It really is fully adjustable from a cant perspective. Now, it's not as cantable as the Ben Stoker Boss Pro Shot, the Ben Stoker Pro Shot Boss Hanger, where you can go like into your body, away from your body, or into your body, away from your body. But as far as the angle of which you draw the gun, fully adjustable. If you wanted to, and I tested this, obviously no gun in the holster, but you could literally mount this holster completely upside down if you wanted to, because it has 360 degrees of variability. Why do you need that much? I don't know, but hey, they gave it to you in case you do, which is cool. So the other cool part that I like about this over the QLS is once it's put into place, so have my holster set in place, there's a tab here. And what you can do, and it's center of the holster right here, but you can go forward or you can go all the way backward. You just go to any of the completely outboarded positions, doesn't matter which, because you can only unlock the holster when that tab is in the center position. So it's a very deliberate, like you have to line that up and place it there. It's locked in place. It is not going to move. Now, and just like with the QLS, and I don't know why this is always such a thing, but there is a little bit of play inside of it. It's on all my Bladetech holster adapters that I have. There's just a little bit of play when you want to wiggle it in place. All my QLS have the same thing. None of them are 100% like the tightest lockup in the world, okay? So that is the Bladetech tech mount system. So, and just as an additional point here to kind of close this out, there is a YouTube video, and if I think about it ahead of time, I'll put a link to it in the description of this video. Bladetech came out with it, but it was beating the QLS system in strength testing, I want to say by somewhere around 300 to 400%. That's pretty impressive. So all of my suspicions about the design of it being a disc instead of forks, the lock, that does make a difference. It does make it inherently stronger than the QLS system. Now, I am now a fan of the Bladetech tech mount system. I'm going to continue to use it on my primary belt setups. Am I going to go through all of my old belt setups and get rid of my QLS? No. Because here's the thing. Primarily, I think most guys just want the ability to swap guns on the range, right? They want to go from running their Glock 17 to their P320 to their M&P 2.0 to their PDP. Things that I don't really do because I believe in using and running one gun. But I understand why people do it, because at some point you have to acknowledge that shooting is just inherently fun. It's a good time. And if you want to run 15 different guns at the range in one day, guess what? You can, because you're an American and it is your goddamn right. However, I do think there's something to be said where if you're somebody that's swapping from, say, like a patrol rig to a SWAT rig, or a teaching belt setup to a competition belt setup, there is something to be said about the ability to swap holsters in and out, swap over to different belts, and have a sense of security while you're doing it. I'm not saying that the QLS is completely useless. To the contrary, I think for the right person, if you prefer a very neutral draw stroke, like no cant whatsoever, if you aren't worried about somebody being able to grab and rip that off your hip, by all means use it. I think that the forks are super affordable. I know that the Blade Tech's super affordable too. But if you just happen to be a fan of Safariland over Blade Tech, I'm sponsored by neither. I don't care what you do. This is just my observation of the two systems being compared. So take everything I just said with a grain of salt. Do what's in your best interest. Do what you want to do. If you already have a bunch of Safariland QLS stuff set up and you're sold on it and you're watch this and you're like, maybe I need to swap all my stuff over, think about it just a little bit longer, because the juice might not be worth the squeeze. All right. If you guys liked any of the stuff you saw today, like the MHA hangers, any of that stuff, the QLS, the Blade Tech, any of the stuff that you saw, chances are Brownells probably has it. Use code BOP10 at checkout. Be sure to check out Winchester Armament. That's my local FFL. I do my business through him. We also got Gorilla Gunworks. We got Locks & Company hair products. We got Cray Tactical. We got Modern Material Rifles. I'm going to be trying to do some more rifle content here soon. But for now, this is the video for the week, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So stay safe, stay trained. I'll be back with the next one. Oh, stay rad. Do that too.